Hello, everyone. Welcome to Up the Ladder Season 2, a series of insightful yet candid conversations with software developers, data science professionals, and educators from across domain to help you accelerate your careers. So today on the show, we have Sumit Sourav, who is a manager of data science and analytics at Flipkart. And all throughout his career, he has focused on fintech and banking industries. And he has worked on a lot of banks like HSBC, CITI Bank, and currently in Flipkart as well. He's working on focusing on fintech and banking perspectives. And he has worked on various problems of risk modeling and fraud models, and he is also a master's graduate from NIT Trichy. So a wonderful speaker, and I'm sure that you will have a lot of things to learn from Sumit. So welcome, Sumit, to the show.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for having me in the show.
Yes. So today on this conversation, we have broken down into three major parts. So firstly, we'll dig deeper in the journey of the transition of how Sumit went about his journey to become the data science at manager of data science at Flipkart, and gradually, and we'll go step by step in the details from the start till the end. And in the second part of it, we'll focus on learning more about how is data science applied in the banking and fintech industries and some of the nuances about that. And in the third part, we'll have a lot of gyan and advices for you all guys, so that you can practically apply some of the stuffs so that help Sumit climb up the ladder. So yes, it is going to be a very exciting one. So let's start. So first of all, Sumit, I would like to understand and dig deeper and to understand about the whole journey, how it's all started. In the first place, did you discover data science? How did you discover data science in the first place? And how did you find that data science is the right fit for you?
Yes. So, Aditya, this was during my first year of the masters. So when I done the engineering, I was doing the masters in IIT Trichy. So this was during the first year of masters when we had this course which is known as multivariate data analysis. Okay, and that course was taken by one of the ex ISRO scientists. So that was a very interesting part, and that is the first time when I have encountered about the data science. So that time I encountered that, okay, whatever thing that we have learned, let's say we all have learned the linear regression during our +2. So now the linear regression has some impact. Okay, so suddenly I got to realize that, okay, the mathematics that we have learned is making a sense in the business. So we are using the same mathematics that we have learned to analyze the thing in the business. Okay, so this was the course which from where I have encountered the data science for the first time.
Right.
Slowly I developed the interest in this field. I start doing some sort of research apart from the coursework. I start learning the different kind of languages. I start reading so many blogs from the different data scientists, uh, whatever work that is going on around the world. And suddenly I found it very interesting. And I end up doing my research work in data science during my final year of masters. And also I have done the internship during my after the completion of my first year of masters. What I have done is I got a chance to do the intern with one of the startup firm in Bangalore. Okay, so that time I also that was also time that was a very a small startup, but that has given me an immense experience about the data science.
Oh,
So
what?
this is how my transition happens in this data science field. So this is how I encounter about this particular field.
Okay. So just to set the context for more for the audience. So before your masters, how were things for you? What background did you came out from? And could you just
So yes, so I have done my engineering bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Okay, so I am a mechanical graduate.
interesting?
So most of my knowledge was on the technical side, and it is I used to get some this kind of questions from the different students and the different colleagues or the different folks that whether being a mechanical engineer, how's the transition process into the data science is. So I will
Yes.
talk about that also later. So because what happens in mechanics is we generally do too much mathematics in our course. Okay, so for those folks who are from mechanical engineering and those think that coming to the data science is entirely different thing, it is not like that. The
Right.
major thing that we learn in the mechanical engineering is about the aptitude, about the analytical skills. Whatever thing that we learn over there is majorly a numerical subject.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
major subject that we have is always a numerical. We
It's
learn
highly
about the
mechanical.
analysis, yeah, analysis of machine, strength of machines, all those things. So all this thing is the mathematics. So we are doing the same thing. We are using the mathematics not on the machine but on the business. So that
Right.
is the only thing that has changed, nothing apart from that.
Oh, wonderful. So I think your maths aptitude, the aptitude in maths and problem solving and reasoning and all those stuff kind of very much helped you when you transitioned into data science, because at the end of the day, data science is at core maths,
Yes,
statistics,
exactly,
mathematics.
maths and statistics. Yes, exactly,
Right.
Aditya.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I think it's a great thing for other folks also to learn that you can transition from any other field to data science as well. It's not just computer science grad can do it. It's people from mechanical or other fields as well can do it, who has good hold upon mathematics, because data science
Yes.
is all about that at the end of the day.
Yes,
So
and it is not only for the engineering background. If someone is coming from the non-engineering background,
right.
they can also crack it. The only thing is that you have to work is on your aptitude, your mathematics, and your statistics.
Great.
Okay,
Great. Right.
and we all have learned all this thing during till our class 12th. So it is like you just have to have that aptitude that you have learned till your class 12th.
And eventually you learn build upon the concepts. Like if you have the foundation statistics right, you can probably learn
Exactly.
the advanced statistics as you go forward, right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Okay, so just to clear this doubt, a lot of people have this doubt: can I do data science without mathematics? And I'm not that good in mathematics, or how much mathematics would I need? So how would you answer that for folks asking that?
Yes. So answer for this is very simple. You have to have the foundation mathematic knowledge. Okay.
Right.
So you have to have the basic mathematics knowledge, basic statistic knowledge, basic probability knowledge, and the expectation is not such that we want something like you have to have a knowledge of engineering mathematics. It is not
Mm-hmm.
like that. But yes, you need to have the basic mathematics knowledge that generally taught till the class 12. Okay, so
Okay.
whatever things syllabus there in the till the class 12, mathematics and statistics, if you are clear with that, I think you are good to go. So you have, and even if you don't, let's say if someone says that, okay sir, we don't have that much confidence on all this thing. So I think basically you all have done class 12th, right? So only thing that you have to do is you have to go and revise those things.
Right.
Once you do the revision, once you make your foundation uh, strong, then only you can build the advanced advanced knowledge on top of it, right? So
Right.
only thing that is required is you should have the mathematics knowledge till class 12th, mathematics and statistics. That's all. And I'm talking about the basic mathematics and statistic knowledge. If you
Right.
are good with that, you're good to start the learning process in data science.
Perfect, perfect. Rightly said. So I just wanted to take it ahead. So you said about the startup. So what kind of experiences did you had in your first job, and what were the challenges that you solved there, and how was the whole experience like? Could you just share that?
Yes. So my first company was HSBC. So this was the company where I got a campus selection from my college. So when I joined HSBC, I was into the risk analytics domain. Okay. So when I joined HSBC, prior to that, I don't have any experience in the banking sector.
Right.
Okay. And neither I am the finance grad. So
Right.
I don't have any knowledge about that. The
Mhm.
only thing that I know is about the data science. I know the analytics. I know the data science. So I'm there for that. So when I joined the organization, first thing is I got immense chance to learn about how this banking industry operate and how this banking industry use data science.
Right.
Because the general thought for every individual is why the after engineering you're joining a bank, right? But
Right.
bank actually do a lot of analytics. Okay, and bank is the industry in today's world. Also banking and fintech industry, if you see the job of analytics, 60 to 65% of the job of analytics is in banking and fintech world, because they are the early adopter of the analytics. At the same time, they are doing entire decisioning based on the analytics.
Right.
Okay, so banking and the fintech industry is you can say has started using analytics uh, from around early 2000, 2002, sometime like that. So they are
Right.
like an early adopter of the data science.
Right.
So whenever you go for any other field, you will always see the senior folks already have done the work in the banking industry,
Right.
because that is the industry where the analytics has first started up.
Started.
Okay,
Right.
we'll talk about that, why it has started in a
Mm-hmm.
banking industry first. But
Mm-hmm.
the question is different. The question is what kind of work that I have done in HSBC when I joined HSBC. So my work is to develop the risk model. Okay, now what is this risk model? So now bank has to decide whom should they give the loan and whom should they not. Okay, now this decisioning of underwriting happens based on the data science. Earlier, if I just go back to 20, 30 year back, at that time the decisioning was like all the branch manager has all those power that okay, I can do the due diligence and
Right.
whatever things that I wanted to check, if that fulfill, I will give the loan. But this is not how the big bank operates, and I think that has been adopted by our PSU's bank also. Okay, so that is why, that is also one of the reason why we are seeing that you will get enough opportunity of analytics in the government banking sector as well in the coming time. So because they are also going to adopt those technology which this big bank has already used and cracked. Okay, so now all this underwriting, that okay, which are the customer that I should give the loan. Okay, bank start from that. Okay, right set of customer, I will split it into three part. Okay, so let's understand about, let's say if I am a bank and my job is to give the loan to the customer. Okay, now bank use the analytics to understand that okay, who is the right set of customer. Okay, so that is where we build a model to understand that okay, this is the customer whom we should give the loan, and this is the customer whom we should not. That's the first thing. Second thing is, once I have given the loan, okay, now if I want to increase your line, let's say, let's talk about the credit card limit that we have. Okay, so if I want to increase that particular line, okay, so that is also bank decide. Bank use analytics, use your behavior, that okay, how you are behaving in the banking or the other banking. So we have the data from the different banks, also from the bureaus. So we develop the model for that. Now once you have defaulted, okay, once let's say you have taken a loan and you are not paying us back, what
Right.
are the right way to take out the money from you? That also comes from analytics.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Interesting.
what are the right way to take the money back from you? That also, that decisioning is also happening from analytics. So that is why I'm saying you that in banking industry, all the decision depends on the analytics. So that is why you'll have the enough opportunity in the banking and the fintech industry being a data scientist or the analytics folks. So
Interesting.
this is, I hope I have given a good understanding about the use case that I used to do in the HSBC, like
Right.
what is my job in HSBC.
Right. So basically, this is like a broad perspective, as in how banking uses analytics. But I want to deeper into what a data science professional does on a day-to-day basis. There, when you are in your first job and you just have come into the industry in the first time. So how does the day look like for that person, and what are his responsibilities, and what are the roles, and what are kind of projects are you working upon? Yeah.
Yes, so I will break that into two parts. First part is about the big bank, where everything is more structured. We'll talk about the startups and fintech later, but I'm talking about the big bank where everything is more structured because they are operating from more than 100 years. So they
So
have already
big five, you mean Morgan Stanley and all those people?
JP Morgan,
JP
HSBC,
Morgan.
Citi Bank. So
Right.
those are the bank which is operating from last 200, around 200 years.
Yes, yes.
Okay, they
Okay.
have a history of 200 years. So I'm talking about that. Okay, so first, when you join an organization as a fresher, first thing that you need to know is about the business. Okay, you need to know about the business. Now, being a data scientist, you always have to interact with couple of different teams. Okay, so that is why. So most of the project that you do as a data scientist, I'm telling most of the project is alone. Okay, is alone. Obviously, your manager is there to guide you at the initial days, but it is more like you have a data, you have to come up with a research solution, different solution. So most of the project that you are doing is alone. Now, if you're doing a project alone, most of the time you have to interact with business. Okay, you have to interact with business because they are there, they are your key stakeholder. Okay, so whatever thing that you are doing is to make their life easy. Okay, so you are building some model. Now if your model is not getting used, then there is no point of building a model, right? So
Right.
you always have to interact your business, you have to understand from the business that okay, what is the requirement. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that they are looking for. There is no point of building a fancy model which cannot be implemented,
Right.
right?
Right.
Rather than if you can build a simple model which has made a good impact to the business, they are happy with that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the number. It's not about what kind of linear regression or the SG boost model that you have used. It's all about that how much incremental benefit that you have given to the business,
How much
right?
leverage have you provided from your role to the business, right?
Yes, what is the net GMB, or you can say the net profit that has been increased because of your model? How
Right.
many, how much cost that I'm saving, or the next, I would say in a very simple term so that everyone can understand, it is net profit that I'm making to the business. That's it.
Right. Right.
Now, so you have to interact with your business. Okay. So your business can be anyone. So if you're working for a bigger bank, your business can be, let's say you might be building a model for HSBC Malaysia. Okay, you might be building a model for HSBC Australia. You might be building a model for HSBC Hong Kong. Okay, so HSBC generally operates, so all this bank generally operates for around 70,
Basically, for
75 plus.
different use cases, you have different variables, different problem statements, and you kind of.
Yes, yes, I'm coming to that. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So first thing is you are building a model for the different country. Okay,
Right.
so you need to understand about the economics of that particular country. Okay,
Oh.
you
Okay.
need to understand about the economics of that particular country. Okay, so let's say you are building a model for some HSBC Hong Kong. So you need to understand about the economics of Hong Kong. What are the things that happens in Hong Kong? What are the peak season of Hong Kong? How the people react in Hong Kong, right? So those are the things first you need to understand that, because being a data scientist, you need to understand your base first. Okay, and what is your base? Base is your data for which you are going to build any model. Okay, so that is the first thing. So whenever you are building a model, you need to understand about that. Okay, what is the business? Now business can be any country. If you are building for a different country, you need to understand your base, you need to understand their economics. Now once you understand that, you need to understand that okay, what kind of variable can be important for that particular country. Okay, let's say a certain variable which was used in certain country cannot might not be as significant to the other country. Okay, and also working in a bank, you also have to make sure that you don't use some of the variable which has not been uh, prescribed by the regulatory authority of that particular country.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Banks is all about regulations and everything.
yes, so obviously you have to also think that you cannot use those regulatory variable, uh,
Right.
and regulatory body is different for the different country, right? So you need to understand that. So the first step, if I just summarize this, first step is to understand your base. And when I say understand your base, understand your business. Okay, and most of the time we spend on that. Okay, that okay, what is the requirement? Why do I need to build a model? Okay, what is the purpose that this model is serving? What was the is there any previous model that was there in place before this model? Obviously some of the data scientists
Yeah.
might have developed some model, right? So
True.
that model has, every model has some shelf life, right?
Right.
Why the model have different shelf life? Because the people, the way the behavior of the people react, sorry, the behavior of the people change over the
Right.
time. Okay,
Right. Right.
so what was the issue with the existing model, right? Why the model was not performing? These are the things that we need to understand first. Okay, so that is the reason why being a data scientist also give you a great exposure to learn, to interact about the business, to understand the business. So sometimes you might have seen that data scientist has end up becoming a CRO, CFO of the organization because they understand the business. They used to interact with the business. Those are the folks who
Context, the business context is very, very important for whatever the problem you're solving.
exactly. So that's the first thing. Second thing, once you understand the business, then there comes the data challenge. Okay. Now you have to interact with your software development engineers. Okay. So you have interacted with business. Now you have to interact with your software development engineer. Okay. To get the variables. So whatever situations for, let's say, if you're building a certain model for certain situation, first of all, you have to come up with what kind of the variable which can help me determine this particular model.
So variables, can you just give one variable example?
Yes, yeah, very simple example. Let's say if I am building a model which will predict what is the sales during this Diwali.
Right.
Okay, if I am building a model that, okay, what will be the sales during this Diwali.
Right.
Now, for this case, what are the independent variable that can use to calculate the sales? So we need to think about that. Okay, it can be like the price, it can be like the time duration of Diwali, it can be like whether there should not be a situation like COVID, right? People should have job, right? So those kind of things. So you need to think about the independent features, right? Okay, for if I'm solving a certain problem, what can be the individual variable which can contribute to that particular problem? So in most of the banking industry, they generally have set up that because earlier scientists have used that particular. So they generally have
banking is more about predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, or descriptive analytics, or is it mix of both when on the use case?
It is mix of everything. In banking industry, you will see every kind of analytics. Okay. So the example that I'm giving is more like a prescriptive analytic, where you are trying to find something, right?
Right.
So in the banking industry, as I have already explained, that they use analytics end to end on every single decision that they are doing. Even they are forecasting that, okay, what can be the what is the growth for our bank for the next quarter? So they forecast that using the analytics only. So everything happens in the banking industry is on analytics. Now coming back to our problem, which was like we have to deal with the software development engineer to get the data, to fix the data, to get the variables, because variables is like peanut for us, and we have to get those multiple peanuts to make a good model. Okay, so one variable might look like, okay, this is just one peanut, but yeah, we have to collect those peanuts. Okay, and we need to have those peanuts to make our good model.
Basically different ingredients for a recipe kind of.
Yes, exactly. And you cannot make a good chicken butter masala without butter, right? So you need to have that, right? So those are like my independent features.
So basically what you're saying is it's not just about the models, but also understanding which variables, which things that you need to get. So whenever we are doing data science in the normal, when we are training or when we're learning, we are just ठीक है ये डेटा आपको दे दिया है अब इसका मॉडल बनाओ. बट यहाँ पे तो आपको ये सोचना है कि डेटा भी कहाँ से लाना है, कौन से डेटा लाना है, कौन सा डेटा नहीं लाना है.
Exactly. That is why you are getting paid for, right? You are not getting paid for to learn to run the algorithm, because that is just a simple thing, right? Anyone can run that code, 2-line code. The main thing that you are getting paid for is the two things that I have explained. First is the business, to understand the economics. Second thing is to get the data. Okay, and this two part that I have explained, this will contribute around 80% of your time. 20% of your time goes to, like, now it comes to you that, okay, you have the data ready. Now you have to apply the different machine learning algorithm that you know, and you have to check ki kaun sa machine learning algorithm is giving you the better result. You have to do all sorts of technical thing that you have to do, right? Being a data scientist, so all sorts of checks, like whether it is performing on the different sample, how the thing is going. So all those kind of checks that you have to do after that. Okay? So this is, you have built the model. Now your job does not end over here. Okay, so you have done your 50% of the job, you develop the model, but now you have to implement this model. Now once you have to implement, first thing that you have to do is you have built a model. Now you have to convince the business that, okay, if you use my model, what is the impact that you will get in your business? Okay, that is
so
why
negotiating is also very important.
exactly you have
Presentation
to
skills.
pitch your product that you have developed to the business, because business are the you cannot go to the business and say that, okay, in my model I'm getting a R square of this much, because they are not the technical guy. They are there to run the business. They understand very simple language. भाई मेरे को कितना इससे profit होगा,
Obviously, right.
ठीक है? So that is why the first step that we have done is to understand the business has an impact over here while you're selling your product.
Right.
So being a data scientist is all about, like, you are a individual contributor to the organization. You are building something and you are selling your product. Okay, I have seen multiple projects. The scientist has done that, but they were not able to present it in a right way. So they were not able to tell the exact impact of that. So the business has rejected that.
So basically what you're saying is कि ठीक है, खाना हमने बना लिया, हमने वो सब्जी ढूंढ ली किससे खाना बनाना है, उन्होंने बस ऑर्डर किया था, उन्होंने प्रॉब्लम बताया था मेरे को कुछ तीखा खाना है, और उसने बनाया, और आपने कैसे बनाया, कितना टाइम लगा, 10 घंटे लगा, 15 घंटे लगा, क्या बनाया, क्या किया, स्टीम क्या किया, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. इट्स जस्ट अबाउट हाउ विल इट टेस्ट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे. उससे कुछ.
Exactly.
राइट.
Exactly. My business now, when you are presenting to business, and if you're going to the business with the technical knowledge, technical things like कि मेरे model का R square is this much, my whatever the precision recall that we calculate is this much, they will not understand that. So you have to make sure that when you are presenting the thing, you know, you have to know your audience, right? That, okay, who is going to come to the for the presentation, and what are their expectation, uh, what are they looking for, right? So this is also an important skill set. No one talks about this, but yeah, this is very important skill set. You create a model. The job of data scientist is not to keep on creating a model. There is no use of it. Business will not get benefited out of that. एक साल में if I build 100, let's say 10 model, 100 तो बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा, 10 model, मेरा business एक भी model use नहीं कर रहा है, then there is no point of it, right?
Right.
So the third step is to present those things to the business, make them understand, and you have to talk in their language. Okay, the thing that they want, they understand, the thing that they are looking for. That, okay, अगर simple मैं मोटा मोटा language में बताऊं तो, if I implement this model, this is the net profit that you are going to get. Okay, once you have to take the sign off from the business, now you go to the implementation team. Now this is the fourth step. First is the business understands the economics. Second is with the software development engineers, where you have created the variable, then you have come back to the business, presented your model, got the sign off, then you're going back forth to the implementation team.
Right.
Okay, now this is your job to make sure that the implementation happens in the right, because this is your product, right? This is something that you have created,
right?
If anything, so if you don't care about that, what will happen is team will do the implementation as it is, right? But if you have to make sure that the implementation is happening in the right way. Okay, so obviously the implementation platform is different in the different organization, and you have a set up implementation team. You just have to act as a guide to them to implement that.
Right.
Okay, you just have to act as a guide. You don't have to do anything on the implementation, but you have to make sure the implementation is happening at the right way that you want it to have.
Right.
Okay, now once the implementation happen, you have to test the model on the platform. Okay, now your model has gone live. Now actual decisioning is happening based on your model. If your model is saying that don't give the loan to this customer, the loan is not given to that customer. So now your model is getting an actual decisioning is happening based on your model. Now you have to test that particular thing at that. Okay, look, this is my expected result, and this is how it has performed actually. So actual versus expected result, you have to perform. So this is like a whole cycle of the data science job. So this is why this is why we say that data scientists. So this is why first thing is we are given a word as a scientist, because we have to do a lot of research work. Okay, we have to collaborate with lot of teams, right? At the same time, we need to have the leadership skills, right? Because
Right.
every time we have to go and present to the different teams, so you obviously you need to have the leadership skills. You
Right.
need to know how to
Convince
convince
them.
the different team, right?
Right.
How to,
Right.
मतलब simple सा language में अपना काम कैसे हो जाए. So the major skill जो मैं बोलता हूँ data scientist में is you have to be जुगाड़ू कि हाँ मेरा काम कैसे हो जाए,
Right.
right? Because sometimes what happens कि अगर if you're
And
going to
Indians
the
are famous
software.
for doing that jugadu thing.
Yes, exactly. Because sometimes what happens ki if you're going to the software development engineer to ask them that ki a variable de do, what might happen is they are busy with their work, right? So they might say ki okay, I will need some time. Your project will only get highlighted once it is done, right?
Right. Right.
Before that, it is all like a research work that you are doing. So no one in the
Right.
organization is knowing that okay, you are doing something big.
Right.
It will only get an impact and you will only get rewarded for this once it has implemented.
Got it. Got it.
ठीक है,
Right.
तो ये implementation from the beginning, from the scratch to till the implementation is a long journey process. It is
Right.
around 6-7 month ka process, right?
Right.
And during that process no one's know that okay what are the things that you are even working, so they will not
Mhm.
even consider okay ठीक है मैं दे दूंगा variable. But you have to be जुगाड़ू कि हाँ how can I get this thing faster, how can I move it faster, because if they are delaying it, ultimately your project is getting delayed.
Got
So
it.
you need to be very good project manager as well.
Oh, okay. Right.
You need to be a very good project manager as well.
So Sumit, just to understand this, so basically we talked about your first job. So is it so that you have to do it from the day one, like from the first job you are, or once you become a manager, then you have to kind of overlook all this
No,
stakeholders
initially,
and everything?
initially when we join an organization, our most of the time goes to suddenly we don't start building a model. First work that we used to get is to do a basic analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this analysis can be anything like why this particular model is performing in this country and this model is not performing in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so generally initially we used to get a small work to understand more about so that we can get familiar about the data, the team, the business. We should get a flavor of
Right.
all this
Right.
thing. So
Right.
initially 6-7 months you will not directly get to get a chance to build a model. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you'll get a small analysis kind of thing like okay why the thing is not performing over here, why this particular thing is performing where this particular reason. So
Right.
small pace of analysis initially we start with, so
Right.
that everyone is get used to of the data, get used to the business, get used to the different team. They can make the friends to the different teams so that they can when the real problem come, they can uh, interact with them and make the thing works,
Got it.
right?
Got it. Got it. So, okay. So, and in this journey, as you said, you have to deal with multiple stakeholders and everything. So that becomes when you become a manager, right? It's not data analyst role. Data analyst is given his work, and then you have other stakeholders in the team as well, which have that project. So this project which we're talking about, is it just one man who is doing it, or it is sometimes one man, or it depends on the project to project how many people are involved in that project? So how does that play that
So
play
yeah,
out?
so there is two things to it. First one is the role of data scientist. Okay,
Okay.
now this data scientists generally do the individual, they act as a IC, individual
Okay.
contributor.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so data scientist. So because the time duration of the project that they are doing is long, it is around 6-7 months. Okay, so they are generally, in most of the cases, they are generally as individual contributor. In
Got it.
some case, if there is any urgency to develop the model in a very short span of time, there might be a chance that 2-3 data scientists is working on that,
Okay. So
right?
is it like I can relate it with, it's like he's like a PM for that whole project in terms of
Yes,
software?
data scientist is like a PM for a whole project.
Okay.
Okay, now if there is a manager of a data scientist, their job is to get the different project. Okay, their job is to talk with the business, ask about that key, how can I help you in the data science, and get the project.
Got it.
Now this data scientist is to do the project, that particular thing,
So basically, a lot of
whatever.
times, this data science people kind of figure out कि problem भी क्या solve करना है in the first place.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Now coming to the data analyst or the business analyst. Now over here, what happens is they also work in a very similar fashion, but the time duration of the project is small because they have to do the analysis and give the quick result. So sometimes this analysis can be like a small analysis which can be done in a week. Sometimes it can be done in a 3 days or in a 1 day. So over here, the work pattern remains to be same, but over here you are not building a model, but you are doing an analysis. Now this analysis can end up becoming a small, right? Or it can become large. Now your manager will always give you the problem statement. They will not give you कि करना क्या है, right? They will always give you कि problem statement कि this particular thing is happening in this particular region. How can we solve that? Okay.
Right. Right. Got it.
How if I give you a small example of in a banking industry, let's say your manager in the analytics world has given you this task that okay, uh, what are the things that I can do to improve my acquisition so that I can acquire more customer. Okay, can you tell me what are the things that I can do to acquire more customer?
Right.
Now this is the problem statement. This is how the works goes to the analyst. Okay, a problem statement. Now you have to, from this problem statement, you have to search for the right set of the data. Okay, कि इसके लिए कौन सा data सही होगा, what are the variable that I should look for, and how can I present that to my manager. So it is the same thing, but over here कि time duration छोटा हो जाता है, तो you end up doing a multiple project. So at the initial phase of the career, if you start as an analyst, that is always an advantage because you have done too much small project in the business so that you understand the business better.
Okay.
Because if you start your career as a data scientist, what happens is you will be expert in only one particular field. But if you start a career in a data analyst, what happens is you get the flavor of different situation because you end up doing a small project in a year.
Okay, so the lifetime of projects are smaller, so you'll have a flavor of multiple projects.
Multiple projects, exactly.
Got it. And so basically, as per you, in a year, generally data science might have 1 or 2 or 3 projects, but data analyst
Exactly.
might solve multiple, like 12, 15, 20 projects or such.
Yeah, 30 project at least.
Okay.
I would say
Okay. Got it. Wonderful to hear that. Okay, so basically, first of all, just to understand, what is the difference between analytics and machine learning? So both of these words are used interchangeably a lot of times, and we are more or less focused on the analytics, right? And machine learning. So how do you put it in simple terms? What is the difference?
So if I have to explain this, machine learning is the tool which helps us to do the analytics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, similar to, I would say that similar to the statistics, similar to Python, similar to R, all these things are a tool to do the analytics. Right. Sometimes, so when you have a tool, sometimes you might need to use that, sometimes you might not need to use that, right? So this is just a tool which helps us to do the analytics. That's all.
Got it. So sometimes you can solve the problem without using the model as well.
Exactly. Sometimes a business problem can be solved by just taking out an average, by just taking out the standard deviation. Right. Sometimes I'm talking about the analyst part of it. So sometimes, yeah, business problem can be solved by taking an average, by seeing the trend line. Right. So it is not always that you have to build a machine learning model. But yes, when we have to build a predictive model, over there, machine learning help us to do that. Right. So over there, machine learning has a great advantage.
So what kind of general models or general tools that we use generally in banking sector as such? So could you just name a few and how that tools helps you, and some names of those tools like Power BI or maybe Tableau? What kind of tools?
So basically I would divide that into two parts. First is the analytics tool. So analytics tool is in banking industry, they generally use SAS, okay, SAS platform. But over there, you can write the SQL query. Okay, you can
So
write.
why SaaS? Is there any difference? Is there any reason behind SaaS? Because generally,
Yes, so this is like they have given a commitment to the SaaS, I think 15-20 year back, that okay, this is just like a contract they have signed
something like
50,
Oracle. Okay.
15-20 year back, because SaaS was present when this AWS and all this thing has not even
Came
developed,
into the
right?
picture. Yeah.
Yeah, so SaaS were developed during that time. And when
Okay.
that time the banking industry has done the contract, they might have done the contract for 15-20 years.
Got it.
So
Got it.
that is the only reason why they have that data into the SaaS database.
And that is why
Okay.
we see SaaS only used in multiple banking sector and not other newer players or newer startups who don't
Yes,
use
yes,
SaaS generally.
yes. Because they
So
they
expensive.
because they charge you a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to use it, they charge you a lot. And the startup, they don't want to pay so much amount for that old technology, right?
Okay.
So it is like a Fiat car, which is very good, but yeah, that has become old, right? You don't
Right.
want to use, and that is costing you too much. Now this
Oh,
banking industry has an advantage because they have signed the contract 20 year back. So
right.
they have done the contract based on the amount that was 20 year back, right? So they are still in the profit.
Right.
But that is the only reason I had discussed this thing to very senior folks in my company, and that is the only answer that I have got.
Right.
Okay. They have the contract, and eventually once the contract is over, they would definitely move to the
It's
different
like
place, because
people
they
have already used Oracle database because they have already invested too much, or maybe SAP in CRM industry.
exactly,
Something like that.
exactly, exactly. So
Got it.
as a business, you have to understand the cost factor as well, right?
Right.
So
Right.
if you have if you have, let's say, buy a car today, and if suddenly tomorrow the new variant of that particular car has come, you will
Mhm.
not go and buy that again, right?
Right. Right.
So you will
Obviously.
continue riding that car. So that doesn't mean that you cannot ride a car or you don't have a car, right?
Mhm.
So that is the same thing applies over here. So SaaS, that
So
is why
SaaS
the
is
SaaS
one.
is there.
Okay. SaaS
Yeah.
is one of the tool, and apart from that,
And second advantage with the SaaS is not an open source platform. Okay.
Mhm.
So SaaS is not an open source platform. So it is like more secure platform. And now SaaS has also understand that my user is only banking sector. So let's invest to make this more secure, right? Because the
Right.
banking industry always concerned about the data security.
Obviously, yeah.
ठीक है. So अब SaaS को समझ आ गया कि banking industries के अलावा no one is going to buy my product. So what they
Right.
have done is they have invested more on the data security. वहां
Hmm.
पे they have taken a lead as compared to the
Other
new
players.
player that has come to the picture, because they have already set up the process. Now when this new player come and set up their process, what they have done is they have invested more on the data security.
Right. Right.
Now banking industries like HSBC, Citi, they operates in 70-75 country. अगर उनको database change करना है, तो you can think that कि कितना amount of investment that they have to do with.
Obviously, right. Right.
So
Right.
obviously, they, I would say कि next 5-10 year में भी नहीं होने वाला है. They would
Oh,
continue using SaaS. Okay, they would continue using SaaS because it is very difficult for them to do the migration of everything to the different
right.
Hadoop or something like that.
Right.
Okay, so banking industry will still be on the SaaS. Obviously, on the upfront side, they might include something else as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, on the background, they will still on the SaaS because they have provided their additional benefit of the data security. Okay.
Got it.
So SaaS is one thing. We use Python, R also in banking industry whenever we have to do the machine learning.
So
Uh,
SaaS, just to relate with SaaS, it is related to what? Could you draw lines? It's like what exactly? Tableau or like mix of
SaaS
something?
is like it is like you can fetch the data, you can do the analysis, you can do the small analysis in a faster way over there.
So it's like Hadoop,
Okay.
something on those
No,
lines.
it is, you can think of it is similar to the SQL, Microsoft SQL.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So over there you can do that. But in MySQL, you cannot do
Something like
the base.
Snowflake or something.
No, I have no idea about that. So I
Okay.
would not be the right person to comment on that. So
Okay.
it is very similar to, you can say, SQL to fetch the data.
Hmm.
But in this case, you can apply the small ML technique as well. You can apply the linear
Okay.
regression. You can draw the plot, you can do the various frequency analysis, you can the pivot, you can draw the pivot over there.
Okay.
So it is like one step solution to do all sorts of
All the things.
analysis.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
in SAS. Okay, the coding part is very simple in SAS. It is not like very lengthy. Also, what we can do is we can create a data in SAS using a SQL code. Okay, you don't need to know SAS. Okay, so if you don't know SAS, what you can do is you can take out the data using a SQL code in SAS. You can write a SQL query in the SAS, and then you can use that data to do the analysis on Python or R, whatever you know. Okay, so in recent trend, we are not using R, right? All of us are using Python. So R has also become an outdated, right? Yes. So most of us are using Python. So this is on the analysis. Now coming to the, whenever we have to create some dashboard over there, the different banking industry has the tie-up with a different company. Okay, and we have a different Power BI platforms. Okay, and all of this works in a very similar fashion. If you know one thing, you can crack the other thing very easy.
Got it.
Okay, so some company is using ClickSense, some company is using ClickView, some company is using Tableau. So it is based on who has got good deal with which company.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so basically here I see that in your journey, in your transition, you have probably focused majorly on the fintech and banking sector, and you have generally focused like in the second company and third company eventually also you have been focusing on that. So is there a reason to kind of go deep inside one industry specifically, and what is your opinion about specialization versus generalization? So just
Okay,
wanted to understand.
so yes, so when I joined HSBC at that time, I was doing the model on the acquisition side, like which are the right set of customer. Now, when I my second organization was Cabbage. When I went there, I was doing the analytics or the data. The model that I have built it is for the marketing side. Okay, which are the right set of the customer. Okay, which are the right set of customer. Okay, now when I joined after that, when I joined CITI over there, I was doing the model on the fraud. Okay, like how can we identify the fraudulent transaction? Okay, how can I identify the fraudulent transaction? So whenever you swipe your card on any POS machine, it generally take few seconds, right? So it's go to the two different engine. It go to the authentication engine where they validate your PIN that you have entered, and the second time it also goes to the fraud engine where that fraud model runs, and based on that the decisioning is happening. If my fraud model will say that okay, decline this transaction, it looks suspicious, it will decline that transaction.
And that happens in milliseconds or seconds, right?
In a milli, yes, exactly. So I am in the banking and the fintech industry, but the kind of work that I have done is different every time. So I have a good diversification on the kind of work that I have done. Okay, so I have built the acquisition model, I have built the marketing model, I have built the fraud model, right? So I have a flavor of different kind of work that happens in the banking industry.
Right, and that acts like a good thing for you because you already have a good understanding about fintech. So whenever you're going for the next job, obviously they look for more understanding of have you solved some similar problems in the past. So as a manager, you can solve it very quickly because you have seen in that particular sector how do you solve the problems in detail. So I think for the
yes, and
in
the and in the fintech world, the product is also changing, right? In banking industry, we are building a model for the credit card. Okay, now in the fintech industry, we are building a model for the buy now pay later option. Right, now buy now pay later option, right? So both the product has been changed. So although if you see from the outer world, you can say that okay, sir, you are doing the work on the banking and the fintech industry, but in that also over the time the product has also changed, right? Earlier we used to build the model for personal loan, right? Now we are building a model for the buy now pay later options, for the EMI available at the different platforms, right? So the works has been changed, the product we are getting a new product, right? So in that way, you have a great sense of learning in this particular industry. And obviously having a knowledge of the previous banking industry obviously help you in the fintech world.
Got it. Got it. So just wanted to understand, you can, just share one of the biggest challenge that you have faced in your career while solving a particular model or something business case, and how did you approach that, and like any insights that people can have from that particular thing. So how do you go about doing that challenging tasks?
So yes, I have already explained the challenge over here is always to deal with a different stakeholder. Okay.
Okay.
The challenge is not to build a model, but challenge is to push your model, obviously. Okay.
Right,
The
right.
building a model is, if you are trained data scientist, you can build the model. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that you can't build the model. You have a data, you know the algorithm, you can build a model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The biggest challenge that we get is to push that particular model. Okay. To basically work with a different stakeholder to meet
Right.
the deadline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
those are the biggest challenge that we face in the data science professions, right? We have to build with connect with the different stakeholders. We have to push, once we have built a model, how can we push this particular model to the implementation? How can we convince that particular model? Now when I'm creating a variable, sometime I might think of some variable which is not at all available anywhere.
Right.
Okay, but I think that okay, this is going to be an important variable, so I want that, okay, can we start tracking this variable from today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now to track that, to convince those things to the engineering team is also a challenge, right?
Right.
You have to convince them that okay, I think that this is one variable that we should track from going forward,
Right.
because I think that this is going to be an impactful thing for us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So those are like, I would say those are the day-to-day challenge that we in this particular professions always face.
So it's not about the hard skills, but more about the soft skills as well. How do you get
Exactly.
the work
Hard
done?
skill is something which is in your control, right?
Right.
So that the thing that is in your control, you can, if you don't know certain thing, you can do a bit research and you can crack that thing, right? That is why I always tell that data science is a profession where you have to you cannot become a data scientist by just learning the thing, right? You can
Mhm.
only become a data scientist by just when you actually builded a model,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
If you know everything, if you have learned everything, you cannot become a data scientist.
So true.
Okay, so when you actually build a model, you will get to realize different scenario. Okay, every data is different.
Right.
Okay, every data react in a different way. Okay,
Right.
now you have the knowledge of data science, you have the knowledge of ML, but there would be certain situation where you have to do your research work. Where you have to go and see that okay, what can be done for this kind of situation. You
Right.
have to study some of the research paper that has been done by the different researcher for the similar case. So you have to do lots of Google
Every
on that.
problem is
But
very, very different and very, very
yes,
contextualized.
yeah, in a problem, I'm talking about every variable that you have to treat as a different.
Okay.
Now
Right.
you have to deal with multiple variables. Let's say 100 variables you have to deal with. Now every variable is reacting in a different way. Now you have to understand that how can you use that particular variable, because that is the only ingredient that you have. Let's say if you have 100 variable, you have to build a model on that 100 variable. Now you have to think कि कैसे मैं दो तीन वेरिएबल को कंबाइन कर सकता हूँ, what are the thing that I can do, what are the trend that I can see. For that thing, it is not something which you can just learn by reading the book. For this you
Mm-hmm.
have to go to the different researcher that have done. Okay, so being a data scientist, one advantage that you will always have is you will have the access to all the research work that has been published to the different data science journal.
Oh, right.
Okay, so you will have the access to that. Okay, your company will provide the access for you, so you can access all the different research work that is happening with. So being a data scientist, you have to read multiple research paper to understand the thing. So it is a proper scientist job. It is not a normal day-to-day work where you have to go and you have a certain SOPs and you have to do in that way. It is proper research work, proper scientist work. You have to do a lot of research work.
Right.
You might end up study multiple research paper, then you can take out few understanding from there, then you can implement something at your variable. It might work, it might not work,
So
right?
it seems to be quite ambitious for a person like who's just starting out data science to do all these things. So how, would you recommend kind of taking a step-by-step journey towards it? And probably you can just brief about that, and probably how could a person who is just starting out, let's say he's a BTech grad just trying to learn data science, or a management grad just starting out of data science, how would he go about cracking a banking industry in the first place, and how would he sustain there, and what kind of skills that he can probably develop from today that he can best prepare himself for the role? So what would be
Okay,
your
so the
advice?
first of all, you don't have to prepare for the banking or the fintech industry, okay? Because none of the company from the fresher, they don't expect you to know everything on the business side. So they will never test you on the business side, okay? So being a fresher, I will talk about, let's say if someone has just recently passed from the college, and if they want to come in this particular field, first thing that they have to work on is their coding skills, okay? I'm not saying that you have to be very pro in the coding, but coding is some of the platform that you need to know so that you can do the analysis in a faster way, right? You cannot do the manual pen paper work. So you need to have the understanding of code. Now in that, you need to have the understanding key about the SQL, because most of the databases can be accessed through SQL, right? So you need to have the understanding of the SQL. You need to have the understanding about the Python. Now this is just a tool that you need to have, right? If you want to play cricket, obviously you need to have a bat and ball. So this
Obviously.
is that's all, okay? SQL and Python. After that, what are the things that you need to learn is you need to revise your mathematics, okay? And when I say mathematics, you just need to revise your basic mathematics and basic stats, okay? Basic stats. If
Right.
that is done, you are good to start with your machine learning study, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I've talked about Python and SQL. Once you are done with the Python and SQL, you have to revise the basic mathematics, okay? Just the basic mathematics and the basic statistic. Once you are done with that revision, you are good to start with the machine learning algorithm. Now you can start with the machine learning algorithm. But before that, make sure that you know SQL and Python, because
Mm-hmm.
that is the tool that you will always use, right? Obviously, the example that I have given is you cannot play cricket or you cannot start learning cricket without cricket bat and ball, right? So
Right.
that is so this is the important thing. You need to first make sure that your Python and SQL skill is good.
Right.
Okay. After that, you can start with the machine learning. Now you can now when you are starting a machine learning, you don't need to know all the algorithm. You just need to know the few algorithm. Okay, you can and in most of the questions that comes from the fresher is from the linear regression, logistic regression, and the decision tree. Okay,
Right.
they will not ask you the questions from the NLP. They will generally not ask you the questions from the random forest. So most of the question will not come from that particular topic. So they will most of the questions will be from the linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree. Most of the question, because if you know this three algorithm, they are confident that you can learn anything else. Okay, so as a fresher, when you are coming to the machine learning data science world, just learn 2 3 algorithm: linear regression, logistic regression, and decision tree. And
Right.
then what you have to do is go online and solve few of the actual case study that is available at a different platform. Okay, so you just have to go there, solve different
Can you
case
recommend
studies.
some platforms which people can use for the case studies?
Yes, the Kaggle is the best one.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, Kaggle is the best one. Okay, analytics Vidya also have some, but my suggestion will be Kaggle. Kaggle has everything. Okay, so you can start with the basic problem of the Kaggle. You can you can take the data from there. You can apply the linear regression technique that you have taken, and then you can see how good that model that you are creating, right? So those are the things. Apart from that, what I would also suggest is you need to know the basic of the business. Like you need, and how can you know that? So read articles, right? Read some articles like how the different companies generally make money, right? From there you will understand too many things. Okay, so let's take an example that you can read that how can this Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, this company makes money? Because they are not charging anything from uh, the person who is doing the transaction, and nothing from the receiver also, right? So, but where is the money? How they are making the business? So once you start reading all this startup, what are the business that they are doing? So you need to have certain basic business knowledge, and that will always help. That will always help, because sometime in analytics they can ask you a different puzzles. They can give you a question from the situation reaction. They can ask you a simple question that, okay, can you tell me how many trees are there in Bangalore? Okay, so this is like a situation reaction. So you have to this is a question. Now they will see how you approach this question.
So basically,
Because
they're checking the analytical thinking of you.
exactly, because what happens is, I have already explained that your manager will give you one statement that, okay, this is the statement, how can we solve it? So that is the important skill set, and that is what in an interview they look for, right? So they will give you a very simple scenario that, okay, can you count the number of tree in Bangalore? And they will see that how you are making that guess estimation. Okay, so this kind of question is known as guess estimation. So you can just do a bit of research on the guess estimation question, so that you understand that, okay, so these are the basic, or you can say mainly thing that is required, and that is what my suggestion would be for the person who is coming to this particular field.
So true. So I think, as you said, in summary, the mathematics of it, the basic aptitude skills is very, very important. Kind of first time getting understanding of how do you solve some case studies from Kaggle and everything, and a bit of SQL and Python as the most prominent skills that you should know. And you should not know all the algorithms in the world, but you should be very, very, very good with few of the algorithms like linear regression and everything. Okay,
Exactly.
the fundamentals one. So okay,
Yes.
so that is
Yes,
what is
because if you understand the linear and logistic and decision tree, then you can crack any algorithm in the world.
right.
And believe me, linear regression, to understand linear regression in detail, it will take too much time. There is 400, 500 page of book that is written on only one algorithm. So that is why my suggestion is to study few things, but study in depth.
Right. Very true. So understanding the mathematical formulations of it, like people use just ठीक है sklearn में linear regression है, just import कर लिया मेरे को sklearn आ गया, but that is not the thing. You should understand how does it work at the end of the day. sklearn के अंदर वो जो code लिखा है वो how is that written, right? So true.
Exactly.
So what is your opinion about what is the most important personality that one must possess in order to be successful in this data science field and analytics field, and specifically in the banking and data fintech
So
industry?
the one thing that I will say is, you need to be very jugaru. Okay, you need to understand how you have to make your things done.
Right.
Okay, you need to understand your audience for which you are building a model. Okay, when you are presenting to the stakeholder, you need to understand that, okay, this is the something which we need to understand. Okay, so that is the most important skill set, I would say.
So true. So true. And what so when you were transitioning into the journey, you would also have a good mentor in some of the sort कि ठीक है अभी मुझे कैसे करना चाहिए in the next, how do I proceed with my career in data science? So what is according to you a role of a mentor in one's career, and specifically in data science, how would you frame that up? Yeah.
So yes, so in my case, the mentor was, when I joined organization, there was one senior. So he has given me a good knowledge about the different scenario. Okay, so yes, the role of mentor becomes important in this particular field, because when you landed up to your first job, uh, you will find it entirely different, right? Because we talk about that in last 1 hour, because the thing that we are trained for and the thing that we actually do is entirely different. Okay, so you might end up thinking that, okay, I was supposed to run a linear regression, and I have not run a linear regression in last 1 month of my job. What am I doing over here? So yes, so the role of mentor become an important over there. Okay, so my mentor, so he has given me understanding that, okay, how the things work basically. Okay, how the things work in the business. Okay, how to approach that particular thing. So I think I have given you enough understanding, even enough gyan on all this thing ki kaise actually the things work. And that is what the role of mentor is, to make you understand about the process, about the situation, to make you aware about the situation. It is not like कि जैसे पढ़ाई कर रहे थे and जैसे तुमने job करना है, it is entirely different, right? So
Right.
that is where the role of mentor becomes an important, and that mentor can be anyone. It can be your manager, it can be your senior, it can be your teacher, anyone.
Right, right. And I think there's a huge gap between academia and what is expected out of a professional. So I think it's very important that you have a mentor in terms of who is actually working in data science and things, and you can probably understand about those things. I think, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So, how do you keep yourself at the edge of learning the latest and the greatest? And is it required to be on the edge every time in data science, in your daily workday life and in the job?
Yes, definitely. There are a number of research happening every day in the data science world. Okay, and you need to keep updated on that. Okay, you need to be very updated on that. So if you want to have the tag of scientist, you need to do the justification for that, right?
So what are
So,
some of the sources or some of the tools that you use to kind of keep yourself updated in the general sense?
so if you want to, if I just talk about for the freshers, you can see the analytics with their. There is one journal that they used to publish, I think on the monthly basis, on the analytics vidya. Okay, that has a very good insight about the different analytics industry, what they are doing. Okay, what are the technique that they are doing. So that is very important, one of that analytics vidya journal. Okay, apart from that, you can also, but most of you will not have that access, so you can, if you have the access to get the Harvard Business Review. Okay,
Right.
Harvard Business Review, you might think that कि ये बहुत high fundu होगा, but नहीं, it is not at high, it is not at all a high fundu. But you can get to know the way that they write the journal is in a way that it can be understood by a different audience. Okay, it is not like they write it for to understand for the certain folks only. Okay, so they write it in a very nice way, so you can review that particular journal on a regular basis, because they also talk about key what are the things that is happening in the analytics world. Okay, so you need to be updated, you need to understand, and also when you are in the business, you also need to understand ki what your competitor is doing. Okay, so if your competitor has developed some model, you need to be very aware that ki wahan pe kya chal raha hai, right? Otherwise you will lose the track, right? So being a data scientist, it is your responsibility to stay updated every time. Okay, and for that you can do the research work, you can do the reading from the different journal, from the different research work, from wherever you want to. But yeah, this is a very uh, important traits that is there for the data scientists and the analytics professionals.
Right, right. So I think it was a wonderful talk, and I just want to, at the end, I just want one thought, one piece of advice, one school of thought from your side for the listeners. What practically, that they can apply, or what you want to leave them with.
So one piece of advice would be, if you talk about ki technical mein, you have, let's have a good knowledge of the coding and come to the data science world. I think have the good understanding of the coding and understand the mathematics, and then you are most welcome in this.
Oh,
Okay, so good coding, mathematics, become a data scientist. And don't worry about ki you are coming from which background, you are coming from, whether the technical background or from the non-technical background. It is not, it is nothing to do with that. Okay, if you can crack these two things, you are always welcome in this particular profession. And believe me, you will get enormous amount of opportunity in this particular field. Okay, at the same time, the variety of the work, okay, that we do is also different. Every time we solve a different challenge, different problem. And when you build something, it will give you immense pleasure that okay, you have developed something. On the basis of that, certain decisioning is happening on the business, so you're influencing a decisioning of a bigger organization. Okay, so yes, so that is why it is very challenging thing. And obviously you are going to get an enormous amount of opening in this particular field in the coming time as well. So yes, just stay updated, try to read as much uh, article, as much journal possible, stay updated, try to understand about the business, and then you can obviously make it into this field.
Wonderful, wonderful, Sumit. It was great to understand more about in depth about the data science field and the majorly in the fintech and the banking industry. I think it was not much talked about, but I think you covered and uncovered a lot of things for the viewers. I think it would be very helpful for all the listeners. So thank you so much for taking out your time, and probably we would like to meet you again and discuss about more about things in detail about such things. So thank you so much for taking out your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.